Hi, good morning, everyone. Is it audible to everyone? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so before understanding today, so let's try to recollect it what we were discussing yesterday, and then we'll continue. Yeah, yesterday we had that, especially that's how do we install it and how do we manage the softwares on the base of Red Hat based or Debian based. Yes, those concepts which we are understanding. Yeah, the main two package utilities that we are trying to understand it on RHL. That is about M package manager, and another one is RPM. Yeah, M related some commands and RPM related some commands which we are trying to understand it. And if you talk about the Debian based or Ubuntu, the base systems, and the two more package utilities as per the type of distribution. That is about apt is one type of package manager utility, and another one is that's about DPKG, that is Debian based package manager. Yeah, there are like two utilities, the main to manage the softwares on the Linux flavors of the systems. But how do we use it these two utilities, and what are the different options, and what about our requirements and requirements based if we just try to understand the commands? Suppose if you like to search the particular package in the repositories, whether that is available or not. So how do we search it? Yes, msearch and package name. And before going to install it, and if you'd like to view the information of the package, is minfo, the package, which displays that information and with the version informations and the dependencies, description of it. Yes, all that, the attributes that we can have it with the info and package name. So it's kind of the same stuff like which we are trying to understand it in the Play Store or App Store. The same kind of activity. Yeah, search it and get that information, and if you're okay with that, then install in the package. Or if you like to update the package, yes, m update and package name, m update. And if you don't want that package, m remove and package name. But package we are installing is nothing but backend. What it is doing is it is going to try to download that RPM file from the repository, and it is extracting that all the binaries, libraries, configuration files, logs files into the system level. That is utility manager is helping. But sometimes we don't see the packages in the default repositories. Then what we need to do this is we need to add the repositories. But where do we add that? The repository URLs and repository related keys, that is GPG keys, that is etc m.repos.d. We can create a .repo file and we can define the repositories. So by yesterday, which are observing that the Jenkins installation, by default, the Jenkins package is not available. But if you like to install it, first you need to add the repository information. Then you can update it and you can install the package from that repository. Yeah, that's about some M utilities, and M is other commands also. M list installed packages or M list all the packages, and M repo list. You would like to see the repositories list information. There are some additional or other options also which we are trying to understand in it. Yeah, there are the points that's we are trying to understand. But once the package has been installed, sometimes we need to check it. That package, what are the files it contains on the system. Yeah, RPM-QEL and package name, which is going to list packages files. Or if you like to, if you have this RPM file, if you like to install it, you can use it RPM-IVH. Or using that RPM also, we can remove that or erase the packages. That is RPM-E and package name. And you have some path of your file, and that file is belong to that which package. If you'd like to know that, then you can use it RPM-QEF. F is for the file, then that file in which package that is installed, so that we can find it there. And you can give the list of all the installed packages, that is a -qa as well as. Yeah, there are some important commands overall which you are trying to understand it. RHL based and Debian based also same activities which we can perform. Objective is the same, but here we use it apt cache or apt get or dpkg. That is Debian based package manager. But objective is almost the same. Yeah, that was concept. The how do we manage the packages on the Linux based operating systems, whether the RHL or Debian based. Just to compare with that about our Android mobiles and iOS based mobiles, the apps how we are managing the same way. Here we talked about the packages. Package you have installed is nothing but software we have installed. Yeah, these are all kind of, these are all operations we can say software management activities, but we don't say the software package management. Yeah, so these are concepts that which are trying to understand it. Yes, are you clear about this point? Any queries, questions? Let me know before moving to that. Some service management activities also to understand. So package management and service management. Before that, we were understanding process management. All these activities for the DevOps engineers are mandatory. I'm not talking about even that recommended. These are all mandatory. Is it clear at this point? Any queries, any questions, please let me know. Everyone getting this the Zoom request are still facing that issues while login time. Now practice yesterday's session. How many of you done that? Everyone is in silent mode. Whether you have done or not, just use the chat window. Just let me know quickly. Then we can move it. Yes or no. Simple. So it doesn't take much time, right, to type it. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so we have this today also. The activity belong to this the same package management and service management. We are going to work with the Apache service. So, but try to practice it, but don't postpone it. The recommended is so on the the concepts whatever we are discussing. So the day concepts review that on the day itself. And I have already shared the forum and try to start the forum and continue with the forum and attend the classes. So if you complete that the recorded video and come to the class, then you will be in the advanced stage. Yeah, if you miss that some points from my side, or even if you're not able to understand some points from that recording session, then this is the time to get back into that. Yeah, fine. So let me move it, but try to practice everyone. That is recommended. But just attending the classes while whenever you are listening the classes, okay, so it seems it's good. But whenever you start the system and typing the commands, actual scenario comes into the picture. Yeah, fine. So let me start this next another concept. What we are going to understand is package management and as well as with service management. Package and service management. But what about this package and service management? So already we are doing this yesterday package management with M package manager or RPM package manager. And today we are going to look into that another concept, service management. But all these activities, we take this with one demonstration, with one example. So what is this, the service we are planning to manage this one is, let me take it, Apache HTTPD server. So which service we are going to manage it now? Apache HTTP server. But what about this Apache HTTPD server? And why do we need to know that? So let me first talk it about the application side some points. Applications. Yes, whenever we are deploying or hosting that application or installing application on the servers, in the client perspective, we just understand that we have the two types of applications in the market. Not just two, but I mean the web application point of view I'm talking that. Two types of that web applications which we can classify. But what are those two types of web applications if we just try to understand? One is static content type. Second one is dynamic content type of applications. Yeah, so whenever the developers, developers developing this application, especially web applications, they get this the picture of that two types of applications. So one is a static content, and second one is dynamic content of application. These are all on the basis of the client requirement. Yeah, applications wise, if we just talk it as we're understanding the two types of the web applications. So one is static content and dynamic content. So what is the static content and what is the dynamic content? They're all very, very important. Before, whenever we are working with that like DevOps process, as we are going to support for the complete application. But application, once it is available and if you like to deploy or host that application, we need to have the servers. We have the dependency on the servers. So on the base of the type of applications, we decide the types of the servers. But before understanding the types of the servers, first understand the types of application. As per the application requirement, backend servers will be designed or defined. Suppose one client comes with that, the requirement to the organization saying that he is having the static content of application. But what is the static content? Static, that means it never changes. That means whether you are accessing that application or I'm going to access this application content is the same. It doesn't change on the basis of the client. Suppose just take it like a photo albums. So if you have the photo album based application, then whether you are accessing this albums or I'm also going to access this album, the photos or the PDF files or image files or MP3 files, this kind of the content if you have, that is a static content. So suppose if you just try to understand it, So you have that application where we don't need to manage the user. That means there is no login and logout option. And you just access that the application content and you can just view some details. That's all. There is no login and logout options. That means user level data not required. For all the users, same data. Now thus we say the static content. Suppose if the client comes with the static content, what is the type of the server which we use it to deploy that is? We use it web servers which are available in the market. Web servers. The web server, if we just talk it, so these servers which we use it to deploy the static content of applications. But what are the different web servers are available in the market is Apache's HTTPD server, Nginx, this is another web server, IHS, IBM HTTP server, OHS, Oracle HTTPD server. There are the different servers which are available in the market. But mostly in the current market which we see this or we hear that either Apache's one or Nginx one. Whenever we use it, HTTP server, that is one of the web server from the Apache's vendor. Apache is a vendor. And another server is Nginx. This is also one of the web server. To host static content of applications, we can use it this. Yeah, mostly in the DevOps environment, we hear or we use it these two types of the servers to manage the static content. And especially in the IBM environments or Oracle environments, they use it, these servers. But in the general market, so these are all the main two servers which are supporting for the web applications to host it. Next one, another one which we have this is dynamic content. Yes. So most of that application, almost the 90-95% of the applications in the market are dynamic content, right? At least these days, what we are expecting, user login and managing some user content, his personal data, personal settings, then using that application. So if you have that user login and logout and which is required, some transactions to manage it for that user is nothing but that's the kind of application we'll call it as dynamic content of application. But this dynamic content of applications to host it, what are the types of the servers that we have in the market is that is app servers. App servers. Yes, whenever we hear that app server, so these are all enterprise-based application to host it, we use these app servers. But basic and the simple applications and the static content of applications, we use the web servers. Yeah, on the base of the application from the client, architects will decide that whether it has to be used web server to host that application or app servers to host that application. But app servers have been designed to deploy the dynamic content of applications, and the web servers have been designed to deploy the static content of application. But what are the different app servers are available in the market? Yeah, next we are going to use it I'm talking that's relevant to the Java-based environment. And even these web servers, you can use it for the PHP also. Apache HTTP server, yes, you can deploy the PHP-based application also. And static content. But especially dynamic content we talk it, these are all the technology dependencies, that is Java, .NET with the C#, VB. Yeah, what are the different app servers which are supporting for the Java JT-based applications is the Tomcat. This is also who is a vendor for this Tomcat is Apache. Apache's Tomcat. So Apache is a vendor. He's having the web server and as well as he's having the app server also. And we have the Oracle's WebLogic. And IBM, they have that data app server, that is WebSphere. And Red Hat team, they have the data app server, that is JBoss. There are the different servers which are available in the market on the basis of their application. Yes, these will be decided on the basis of their application. If it is a static application or a dynamic application, but how it will be decided, the static application or dynamic application, that is on the basis of the functionality of application. The functionality of application is static. Then we say the static application. Static application, to run it, we have the web servers in the market. And if the client comes with a enterprise kind of application with the dynamic content, that is a transaction based application or user-based transactions, then that applications, to run it, we need to have it app servers. But what are the different app servers are available in the market? Yes, Tomcat, WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss. And if it's a .NET based application, which we have, that is Microsoft's IaaS server. Microsoft, they have their app server, that is IaaS. So this is especially for the .NET based environments, we see that. Yeah, most of the Java environments, we see that, the Tomcat, but some commercial version and support, if it is required, they look at about these kind of the servers. And Microsoft products, if you are using, that's .NET based application. So this is the only one option which is available. We don't have that multiple options. But Java based application, we have the multiple options. Yeah, once this application is ready, application to post it or to get the ready of it, on the basis of the application content, the octets come up with the types of the servers which are required to use it. That is web servers or the app servers. Or what all the web servers are available in the market? What are the app servers which are available in the market? Yes, web servers, we have that HTTP server and Nginx, and app servers, that is Tomcat, WebLogic, WebSphere, all the servers. So we are going to talk with that Apache today. But later we are going to talk it this one real-time application with web server Nginx, we are going to talk it. And the middleware, that is app server, we are going to talk it that Tomcat. And a backend database, that is MySQL. With all that, the services, we are going to talk it one by one. But yes, today in this package management exercise, what we are going to do, that is we are going to work with this web server. So web server, which web server we are going to talk it? This server, we'll call it Apache server, we'll call it, or we call it HTTP server also. Any name, that's fine. Yeah, that's about understanding before going to having this demonstration, understanding the concepts of that servers. Is it clear about these points?
Yes.
At least I need to say this 3 or 4 responses, then only I'll continue that. If you say yes, oh, that's fine. Or even if it is no also, okay, let me know that. Any queries, questions which you have. But if you are the silent, there is no meaning at all about this. Okay, good. I see there's some responses, but still only 3. No, it's good. Yeah, fine. So please be active. That would be helpful. For you, that would be helpful, and as well as for me, quickly to understand it, whether you are active or not, I can quickly understand that. Okay, good. So now what is the server we are going to talk with this is? We are going to talk it now, this web server. But what is that web server is? HTTP from the vendor, that is Apache. Yeah, any server if you are working with that. So this is all we can say that application deployments or deployment operations. Let me just talk it this one as a deployment operations. Yes, if you like to deploy this any application, what are the different operations we are expecting this is? So first to make sure that that software has been installed. Install the software. Then if you have this any custom configurations, then configure that software. If you're going to deploy that application, yes, you need to get ready of the server. Install the software, configure the software, then which we should know starting and stopping that server. Yeah, install the software, or say, let me say the server, that would be better. So install the server, then we should know that how to configure that server. Any service you are learning is nothing at this point, just keep this in mind. Yeah, how do I install that? Or how do I configure that? Or what are the important? I mean, all the configuration that is not required, some important and essential configuration that is required. And once it has been installed and configured, yes, do I need to start and stop the servers? Yes, if it is required, how do I start and stop the servers? That's which we should know that. But you are installing and configuring the server is nothing but which purpose? Finally, deploying application, right? Application purpose you are configuring. Then we can say deploying application. So that we say that hosting application. Hosting is the best keyword. You are deploying, deploy in the sense you are installing the application which is given by the development team on the server. That process we'll call it as a deployment. Or we say that the hosting of that application. Yeah, so there are some important operations which we should know that. Yeah, now we'll apply all these operations to the Apache HTTP server. Yes, how do I install the Apache HTTP server? And what are the configurations? And we should know the log files. Yes, if the server is up and running is nothing but yes, it is performing the transactions. But how I can verify this the transaction which are performing in the server? Yeah, transactions. Then starting and stopping the servers and deploying that application of that. Yeah, now let's move into that. Applying all these operations to the Apache HTTP server. So how do we install the HTTP server? Already yesterday we were talking that some package manager on RHL based operating system. If you like to install it, yes, use it. Yum install. We know that command yum install. And what is the package name is? That is HTTP is a package name. And we know that or we should use it -y, that is for the confirmation. And if it is required that sudo permissions, super user permissions, you need to run with sudo. Yeah, if you run this command, HTTP server will be installed. Yeah, this is the installation process. How do I install the HTTP server? Yum install HTTPD. Or if it is the Ubuntu based system, let me give that command also. If you are using the Debian based system, as we're talking that apt-get, right? Apt-get install but package name not HTTPD, and here it is Apache 2. But how do I know that the package name is? Just search it in the Google. How do I install the HTTPD server on CentOS? Then you will get it the package names. Suppose if I browse that in the Google, how to install HTTP server on CentOS. Then you will get it some blogs, and you can refer this in the blogs. Yeah, how to install Apache web server on CentOS 7. You can follow these steps. Or if you're looking about that Ubuntu, then use it that Ubuntu, then you will get that all the steps to install on the Ubuntu system. What is this? Continue to the site. Yeah, how do we install the HTTPD on the CentOS system is m install HTTPD. This is the package. Next, we don't see this much configuration for this Apache configuration wise. But then we need to go for the starting and stopping the service. Yeah, this is about CentOS based command, and this is about Debian based command. Once this has been installed, what we need to do? Starting or stopping the server. Yeah, how do I start it and stop this HTTP server is this one we say the service management activity. Service. Yeah, now the HTTPD we can say that's one of the service, and this service is going to run as a one of the process. So HTTPD is now is a process which is running the background to handle that all the HTTP based request and responses. Yeah, how do I start it and stop the service? And how do we manage that services? Yes, here we can use it systemctl. This is a command. So how we have that M for that package manager, service to start it, service to stop it, service to disable it or enable it. We have the systemctl is the command. Systemctl. And which operation does do you want to perform it? Do you want to perform the start operation or stopping of this the server, or do you want to restart the server, or do you want to enable the server the service? Enabling in the sense, suppose if I reboot the system, after rebooting I don't want to manually go and again running this systemctl start service name. I don't want to do manually. So whenever we reboot the system, automatically it has to be restarted. That means I would like to register that as a service at system level. In case system boot up is happened during the boot up time, it has to be automatically started. That's we say that enabling that server as a service. Yeah, do you want to start it, the service, or do you want to stop it, or do you want to restart it? Do you want to enable it, or do you want to disable it? Yeah, that's a type of operation which you can use it. And then finally pass the package name or service name. So which is service? That is HTTPD. Yeah, if you are going to starting or stopping or restarting or enabling, so we can use it that these are all activities, service management activities. But what is a command utility that we can use it is that is a systemctl and operation, then package name or service name. So now if we talk it about it, if you like to start the HTTPD server, systemctl start HTTPD is a command, but you need to use it sudo options. as super users to get it. Or if you would like to stop the server, systemctl stop HTTP. Or if you would like to restart it, restart HTTP. Or if you would like to check the status of this, my HTTP service is running it or not. Yes, we can use it, status. Whether it is running it or not, we can get it there. And if you would like to enable this one as a service, that means after the boot up also automatically it has to start it. Then you need to enable. Then whenever you are rebooting the system, you don't need to restart the server automatically. I mean manually. That will be restarted automatically. Are you following the points, everyone? So this is about package management command. Yesterday, which you are trying to understand the CM. But once this package has been installed, especially these kind of the service related packages, then you need to start and stop the services as well as. But how do we start and stop the services? Yes, what is the utility we can use it? Systemctl. And then operation. Which operation does you want to perform it? Then service name. On which service that you want to perform it? Is it HTTP service or Nginx service or SSH service or Jenkins service or Docker service? That service name. Yeah, the installation, then starting and stopping the service. And after this system or service is ready, then what is this one more activity which you are expecting this is deploying the application. How do I deploy the application? What are the deployment directories? Where www HTML. So this is the directory. If I'm having any static content files, suppose developer they have given the static content. I need to deploy all the static content of application on the HTTP server. Then how I can deploy it? Don't think too much about the deployment. That is simple. Copying about the static content files to this directory. So what are my static content files which I am having for my application? If I copy in this location, this is this process that's copying that application to this directory. What we call it is that is the deployment. That is installing that application. We say that simple copy, or we can say hosting of that application. Different keywords, but activities. Copy about your static files like HTML files, PDF files, JPG files, that is image files, or video files. If you have anything, just take it and copy in this directory. And if you are doing the copy in this directory, what we call that process is deploying application on the HTTP server or hosting that application on the HTTP server. Yeah, so these are all some activities. Now let's perform the practically all these activities, and we'll see that how do we access it and how do we work. Have got that objective on this package and service management. Now we are working for the HTTP, but what is this HTTP? This is one of the web server which helps to host the static of content of application. But in the market, not only the web servers, we have the app servers also which are available. But these app servers, when do we use it? To host this dynamic content of applications. But to manage this dynamic content of applications, we have the different app servers in the market from the different vendors. which are supporting for the Java environments or .NET environments. But if you are performing that application management activities, yes, for that application, what is the server that is required? Yes, we should know the how do we install the server or how to configure the server or how to start and stop with the servers or how do we deploy that application on that server. Whether you are going to work with that Nginx or HTTP or Tomcat or WebLogic. So how do I use it, that server, to deploy the application? We should know it. Yes, as a DevOps engineer, we need to know it. And here we are talking that Apache HTTP server. Yes, if you like to install the HTTP server on RHEL, sorry, Debian-based systems, yes, install straightforward. Yeah, this is a package name. Use a TM package manager and install. Or if the Debian-based systems, have to get installed. But package name, if you don't know, you need to search it in the Google on the basis of the flavor of the system which you are going to use it. Then starting and stopping the server. Use the systemctl. And which operation? Do you want to start it or restart it or stop it or status it or enable it? And on which operation, which is service? That is HTTP service. Okay, you have installed and the server is ready. But you need to deploy application, right? Deploying that application is nothing but whatever the application content you have, files we have, that files just copy in this directory. Then Apache is going to read that all the files in this location and the user can access it remotely through the URL. Yeah, let's see this practically all these activities. Let me get that to the backend system. Yeah, that which we are using. Yes, this is the backend system that which we are using yesterday. The same one I'm using that. But before that, let me check it my any network packets are down or these are all okay or not. Yeah, so it is able to ping to the Google. We are good. Oh, I use it again Control C, install the Control G. That is more mostly which we have habituated, right? Control C. Anyway, good. Now that's like let's go for this first. How do we install the HTTP service? Yes, that is straightforward command. That is sudo use the dem package manager and install it. But before doing any operations, first update the system. That is recommended. Let me update the system, but nothing to do. Everything is updated. Now let me go for installing HTTP package with the confirmation that is well. Yeah, before going to install this HTTP, if you see that it is going to install all other dependencies also. Mailcap, HTTP2 module, APR, and installing the weak dependencies, OpenSSL, BDB. So it is doing that. There's so many other packages, other dependencies. So total it is going to install the 10 packages. Total download size that is 2.1 MB and total installed size that is 5.6 MB. So it is waiting for the process with the PID 2362 to finish it. Maybe other process which is using internally. So it is waiting to complete that process. Still that is in the waiting process. Let's wait it. Two, three, six, two. What about this process? So other process is using the some package manager utilities. So that's why this process is waiting. But we didn't do that any other process. Even update also has been completed, right? M update, whatever we have done, it has been completed. Yeah, while downloading the packages, it is a have that issue. Yeah, if you have that disk space issues also, it will be stopped. So make sure that you have the sufficient disk space. But I don't have any issues with the disk space, but still it is taking the time. Is it the problem with the network IO operations? So let me check it. What is this 2362 process? So I'm going to open that one more Git bash terminal. We'll log into that, the background machine, and we'll verify this. So where do you have this background machine? That is in the D drive, the workspace, batch 48. So this is a vagrant file. Yes, let's log into this machine. The vagrant SSH. Already started, but I'm going to use it another shell. Yeah, ps hyphen ef and grep for that. So what is the process ID? Other process ID. That is something 2362. Okay, so yesterday we were trying to do the DM install Jenkins, right? And we forcibly killed the process. But we were terminated the process using Control G. Something stopped it, but that process still it is there. Anyway, I don't need this one, so I'm going to kill this process. So ps okay, so killing the process, that is a kill hyphen 9 2362. Let me use the sudo option. Yes, killed it, the 2362. Now let's see this. So do we see this any progress here? Yesterday we were doing the control jet, that M utility, whatever we were using to while installing the package, it was not responding and we were doing stopping the process, but the process still it is there. it is going to use that package manager utility, that is yum. So that's what is waiting for the process to complete it. But now I have killed it. But let's wait so that it is going to starting to download the packages or not. Is in this def function. It is not killing the process. It is not releasing that yum manager with this. So let me use it kill iPhone 15 of this 2360. That is the termination of the process. Still also it is not doing that. Let me check it as 2360. This is a parent process ID. Yeah, I'm install Jenkins. Let me kill this process. 2360. Okay, now it has cleared that process. So this is the child process which is using the yum, but this is actual main process. Yum install Jenkins -y 2360. So now let's get back to that. This system, yes, now we see that yes, it has been installed. Yes, before it was showing about it waiting for the process with the process ID 2362 to finish it. But after killing that process, which is using that yum, then it has been started and it is installed the HTTP package. Yes, we are good now. So it has been completed HTTP package. Yes, this is the HTTP the version. Okay, now the package has been installed. Normally it doesn't take this much time. Directly you can run it. But yesterday we were doing that yum install the Jenkins and we were stopping in the mid of it. But the process is still not released. Yum utility. That's why we got that error. Otherwise, if you are doing the first time in your system, you don't see all these errors. Yum install HTTP, that is just 1 minute activity. Anyway, all these errors that will be helpful to understand it. Good. Are you clear about this installing the HTTP?
Yes.
Okay, now the package has been installed. Now let's go for checking this HTTP service. Is it running it on? Yeah, if we just install it, that is not started. But we need to, let me check it this. My service, that is HTTP service, the status of it. Which is service HTTP, systemctl, and then operation, the syntax. If you just observe systemctl, is expecting the two arguments. What are those two arguments? First argument is operation. Which operation that do you want to perform? Do you want to start it, stop it, or status? Or do you want to enable it or disable it or restart it? They're all the operations. And these operations on which service that do you want to perform it? The second argument would be service name. Yeah, systemctl is expecting two arguments. One is operation and service name. Yeah, now if you verify the status of this HTTPD, HTTPD service, the Apache HTTPD server, and active, is it active? No, this is not the active. It is inactive. This is a dead now. That means that is not yet started. But the package is installed. Yes, that has been installed. How do I check it? The package is installed or not? HTTP is it installed or not? How do we check it? mlist installed.
Yeah.
Yeah, mlist installed. And we are searching for the HTTP. Yes, HTTP has been installed, the package. But the HTTP service, that's web server, is it up and running? No, it is inactive. That is dead. It is not yet started. But I would like to start it. How do you start it? Sudo systemctl start is the operation on the service, that is HTTP. Now I don't see this any output. But how do we check it that the HTTP service is running it or not? Now you can use it status command. Yes, if you observe this now, the status command, what it is showing the says active and up and running from this time. Yeah, this UTC time zone, it is showing that. Yes, this is up and running. And background, you see that some like different workers are running there for in the for this HTTP service to handle all the request. Background, it is running the some child process. Yeah, this is the main process ID 3955. But this 3955 internally managing the some child process. And HTTP server on which port it is going to use it that. Yes, what is the port of this HTTP server is? Yes, it is running on the port 80. So default HTTP port is 80. SSH, what is the default port? SSH protocol, what is the default port? So we didn't discuss, right? So for SSH service. Yeah, that is 22. Like that, if you are doing the file copying, that is FTP, or if you are sending the emails, or if you are configuring the DNS service. So for each service, it is going to have one default port. So now we are talking that the web server. Web server supports for the HTTP based protocol. But for the HTTP protocol, what is the default port is 80. Okay, so we are good now. That's understanding that's how do you start the service and how do you check the status of this HTTP service. Now what I need to do this is I need to go for accessing this HTTP server. How do I access this one? How the URLs will be constructed? Now what is the point we are talking the says? Okay, my package has been installed and my server is up and running. But how do I test it now? Testing that application. Once the server is ready with that application, we need to test it. How do we test this application or server? Yeah, one is which we are using that systemctl status command. This is server is up and running it up. This is one command which we are using. Sorry, not stop. This is the status. So status command is status operation is helping. So to know that whether the HTTP service is up and running. Yes, that is up and running. We are good. Next, whether this HTTP service is running it or not, we can check it at a process level also, right? Process. You are starting any service is nothing but that service is one of the process which is going to use the CPU and memory utilization. Yes, another approach how you can test it whether the server is running it or not is by using the process management command, that is a ps-ef, and search for the HTTPD. This is another command. And package is installed or not, how we are verifying this is list installed. Yeah, this is a verification of that package. So what is the command we are using here? Verify the package. So what is the command here we are using? Sudo list installed, and which package we are verifying this? That is graphing for it. So these are verifying the package. Package is installed or not. Now after that we are starting and stopping. But once the service is up and running, how do we test it? The server is up and running it or not? One approach is systemctl status HTTPD. Second one is use the PS level verification. There is a ps-f HTTPD process running it or not. And the next point what we have to say is what is the port it is going to use it, this HTTPD server? What is the port of this? Default port of the HTTPD server?
80.
Yeah, so the default port is 80, that is 80. So if that port is listening, then we can understand that that server is up and running. If the port is listening, which port? HTTP default port is 80. If the port is listening, that means the port is up and running, then we can understand that about our server is up and running. But how do I check it that port is listening it or not? There are the different approaches. You can use it any one of the approach, but we should know all the things. How do we check it the port is listening it or not? Yeah, this is a network command. Yeah, so netstart is the command which we can use it. Netstart-nltp. So to verify the port is listening it or not. This is another approach. I'll show us all these things. So testing that whether the server is up and running it or not, or service is healthy or not, there are all approaches. You can verify at service level by using the systemctl, or you can verify at a process level by using the ps-ef. You can verify at a port level, the port is up and running it or not. And finally, end user wise, if you just talk it, end user who is going to access this application which is hosted on this server, he is going to use a URL, right? URL based verification. So now another approach is URL of the server. But how the URLs will be constructed? First we use the protocol. HTTP is the protocol. Any web server you are accessing or app servers are accessing, there are the web-based applications. Web-based applications are using the HTTP or HTTPS-based protocols. Yeah, protocol. Then on which system the server is running, that server IP address. And what is the port of that the server? That is a port number 80. And then finally application name. That is a slash. And if you have any name of that application name. This is the URL of it. Yeah, so there are like a different the approaches to verify whether server is it up and running or not, and within the server application is up and running it or not. Already we have observed the systemctl status HTTPD. Let me go back to this now, the background machine. Now one approach what we are trying to use it, sudo systemctl status of HTTPD. Yes, good. So that is active and up and down. And it is listening the port 80. Good. Next approach, what do we have this is, as we are talking about it, process level. PS-F graph for that which process? HDDPD. Yes, you see that HDDPD is the process. Yes, this is the main process which is running. Yeah, actually, this is the command which has been executed in the background. But internally, it is going to use it some sub-processes also. This is the main process ID, 3955, 3955, 3955. But some child processes also has been started. If you see this, yes, this process, yes, we are good. HTTP is up and running. Next, port level verification. How I check that port is listening it or not? So we can use it netstat command. And arguments we are passing NLTP, listing all the network TCP based protocols. Yeah, you see this like port 80. Yes, there is. If you see this in this list, the ports, yes, these ports are listening on the system. Yeah, which are all the ports? 80 port is listening, and 22, this is for SSH. We are doing the vagrant SSH is nothing but internally it is going to use this port 22. Suppose if this service is down, then you cannot connect it to this machine. So 22 is the port, which is for SSH based, and 80 is for HTTP. Yes, now the HTTP port is running. We are good with this. Yeah, service based verification, process based verification, and port based verification. That is by using netstat command. Now let's talk about URL based verification. So how do I test it URL based in this system itself? This is a command line utility, right? This is not GUI based. Command line. So how do we use the command line based verification is, we have this one more command that is curl command. Curl. Normally URL will say that. URL, that's we use it in the browser. But here we are not going to use it the GUI based, the browser, but we are going to use it command line based URL. So command line based URL to verify that what is the option which is available is, that is a curl utility. Curl. And which URL I would like to check it? HTTP. And system IP address required. Now I'm in the same system, right? So I'm going to test it that URL in the same system. If it is outside, the IP address is required. But if I'm going to use the same system, then I can use it local host. Local host. Because I'm running this command in the same system. So I can use the local host as an IP address. Or this one we can say the host name. So local host, and what is the port? Port number is 80. Yeah, if I hit this curl command, yes, now we got it some message responding that, but this is not the browser. Yeah, I see this here some message. HTTP server test page. Yeah, this page is used to test the proper operation of the HTTP server after it has been installed. If you can read this page, it means that this site is working properly. Yeah, so if you are getting this message is nothing but about your web server is up and running and it is ready to use that. Yeah, it is printing a lot of content, leave it off it. Yes. So what is the command line based verification is? You can use the C curl and then URL of that application. So that is HTTP is a protocol, then IP address, The same IP address we are using, we are in the same system, that is the local host, and port number is 80. But if I would like to access it from the browser, suppose if I would like to go to this my Windows system, and from the Windows system, so from here I would like to access this within the browser. How I can access that HTTP server? So I need to have that Vagrant virtual machine IP address. Suppose here if I use the local host, what is the meaning of that? My Windows system is a local host. Localhost colon 80 if I type it, but there is no web server which is running on the Windows. No web server, right? That's why it is getting the error. But web server where it is running? On the Vagrant machine, in the Vagrant machine. But Vagrant machine IP address required. But how do I get that IP address of this the system? If you are using the within the system, you can use the local host. But if you are using that outside of this system to test this server, then the system IP address required. But how do I get that IP address of the system is if config. If config. If we run it if config, now it is giving that network interfaces. One network interface Ethernet 0, another network interface loopback adapter. So far we have used a local host, right? Local host is nothing but this is the interface which we have used. This is the network interface we have used. That is local host, which is having the IP address 127.0.0.1. Okay, this is only for internal, not for external. Even another interface also, if you just observe that Ethernet 0 we have, and it is giving that IP address 10.0.2.15. This is the IP address of the system. But this IP address is also private IP address. That means only internal of the system you can use it, but not for external. External, if you would like to access that any service, you need to have the public IP. Or that external system also should be in the same network. But Windows system is in the different network, and my Vagrant virtual machine, the CentOS is running in the different network. These two are in the different networks. I cannot use this private IP. Suppose if I take this IP address and if I go to that my Windows system, and if I use it that IP address with 80, no, I cannot access that. So we need to enable public IP address for this. But how do I enable that, or how do I configure that IP address? These are all some networking concepts if you just observe that. We are checking that the port listening it or not. That is netstat command. Now we are verifying this list of all the IP addresses. That is ifconfig. And we are using that local host. Yes, that is loopback adapter IP address or host name. But to access that's my application, I need to have the system external IP address, not internal IP address. For the timing, what are the interfaces we have? These interfaces are only internal, Ethernet 0 and loopback, only internal I can use it. But I need to have that external IP. What we can do is, we have the Vagrant file, right? Yes, let me open this Vagrant file of this. We have one configuration to get it the public IP address in the Vagrant file. So let's edit this Vagrant file. Yeah, this is a Vagrant file. I opened this in the editor. Here you see that one property by default it is commented config.vm network and private network. Yes, we are going to use this private network with a static IP address. So you can define this IP address. Yeah, let's enable this property. That means remove this comment. Now we are enabling that one specific IP address to this machine. Let's leave it that default IP address 192.168.33.10. I'm okay with that. Yeah, enable this property and keep it as it is. And let's save this file, that is by using the :wq, that is save and quit. So open the Vagrant file and enable that property. Which property? vm.net. Then restart the system. Yes, if you're doing that any configuration, we need to restart the system. Let me do that Vagrant halt. So with these two interfaces, we are not able to access outside of the service, that is HD80 service. What we are doing that we are configuring one specific network interface. The default network interface are not accepting. It has been stopped. Now let me go for bringing up. Now whenever we restart the system, now HTTP service, is it going to automatically restarting, or do we need to do that restarting manually? Is it going to start automatically? Now the HTTP service, we are restarting the system is nothing but all the services will be down, and whenever the system boot up time, it has to restart it. But a HTTP service, is it going to restart it? Can you guess that, anyone? Okay, so it has been launched. Let's log into this machine. So we didn't enable that service, right? Systemctl enable HTTPD. Have we run that command on the HTTPD? Just we are starting or stopping our status verification, we are doing that, but we didn't enable that. Now let me check it. HTTPD service is running it or not. How do we check it? Sudo systemctl status HTTPD. That is inactive. It is not started automatically. That means we didn't enable that. If you'd like to enable it, then what do we need to do? Yes, run that one time, enable. Before we didn't run this command. That's why it was not started automatically. Even the system rebooted also, my HTTP server is not restarted. But we don't want to manually restart it. Yeah, sometimes we do the maintenance activities and systems will be rebooted. Whenever you reboot it, yes, my services should be started automatically. But how do you start that, sir? The services automatically whenever you reboot it. Yes, enable that service. Yeah, now we have enabled, and next time whenever you restart it, and the HTTP service will be automatically restarted. But still, is it started? No, we didn't start it. Let's go for starting this service. Now let's check the status. Yes, that is up and running. Yeah, good. Now let me check it the process wise ps-f grep HTTPD. Yes, the process also is available. And port wise, is it running? Yes, it is listening on the port 80. And let me check it, let me test it locally. Curl HTTP localhost. Locally to test it, you can use the localhost directly. And with the 80. Yes, we are getting the response. There's some page displaying. Now I would like to test it externally. Before this was the issue which we're talking that. Externally, how I can check it now? I need to get the IP address of the systems. Now you see this one more interface has been created, Ethernet 1 with this IP address. This IP address we have defined in the background file. So let's use this IP address now. Let's go back to the browser. Let's use that IP address, the new IP address with the 80. IP address always system level connectivity. Now we are connecting to the system with IP address. But within the system, which service? 80. Now, if everything is good, we should be able to access it externally. But it seems still we are not able to access it. But it is keep on trying that. You see that? It is keep on trying. And finally, it is showing about it connection timed out. If you see there's a connection timed out, then this is the issue with the firewall. Firewall is blocking. Now I don't want to use the firewall. Then what I can do that? Yeah, let's. The firewall is also one of the service. What I will do that is temporarily I will stop it and I will test it that. So how do I stop the firewall service? Is sudo systemctl stop. But which is service? Firewall D is a service name. And after stopping, if I go back and if I refresh here, yes, now we got it HTTP server test page. Yes, if you got this page is nothing but about our HTTP server is up and running. Are you clear about this one? Now we are able to access this application from the browser. You can use, but this is not the public IP address. This is my networking level IP address. But if it's the public IP address and if I share it to you, then you can access this one from about your browser also. Are you following everyone? Is it clear?
Yes.
These are all very, very important. Whether you are working for that any service. So next tomorrow, if you are going to talk at the Tomcat or databases, so all these are all important.
Can you show what is the firewall service name again?
Sorry, what is it?
The firewall service that we stopped.
Yeah, the firewall is blocking that. That is not enabled for the HTTPD. That's why we are not able to access it. But suppose I don't want to stop the firewall, but I would like to enable for HTTPD service the firewall. Then how do I do that? Now, okay, so with this IP address, we are able to access. But is it supporting this one? Now, let me check it. With this private IP address, are we able to access it? No, right? So it is going to only that interface, Ethernet 1. You cannot use it this one. This is not for outside. This is only internal. Even the firewall is blocked, stopped also. With this IP address, we are not able to access. Only this IP address. So this IP address, how we have configured? Go to the vagrant file and enable that property and restart the system. But I don't want to stop the firewall entirely. I would like to accept for the HTTP service. Then how do you do that? Instead of stopping the firewall. Yeah, if we stop the firewall, yes, we are able to access it. But we don't want to stop the firewall. what we would like to do this is we would like to enable the firewall for HTTP service. So what is the command that is available is the firewall cmd. So this is the command firewall cmd, and you can use it the zone level, zone equal. You just type that the help options, you will get it all the properties which we have. So many properties, but don't worry. Yeah, so this is a firewall CMD, the help. We have the so many properties. But what I would like to do this is I would like to enable this one for the the zone level. That is hyphen zone equal to, I would like to define the global. So this is one property I would like to use it. And the next, which service that do you want to enable that? Yeah, service options, if you verify that, policy options, IP set. Yeah, service options, if you verify that, we are going to allow that the service for HTTP. That is add service. You can find it here. Do you see this add service? New service, delete. We have the hyphen add service also. Yeah, so this is the option which we can use it. We are going to allow for the HTTP service. Yeah, finally the command, let me give that. How do we enable that the particular service at the firewall level is? So firewall hyphen cmd and hyphen zone equal to, we are going to define the public. Yes, we are going to allow that the public, and we are going to add the service, which service is, that is HTTP. And do you want to allow this one temporarily or permanent? Yes, I would like to allow this one permanently. So hyphen permanent. Space is important. Yeah, firewall CMD and the zone is a public, and adding the service that is HTTP, and this should be permanent. If I run this command, yes, the firewall D is not running. Let me, you are stopping this, right? Yeah, start the firewall and enable this. Authorization failed. Let me use the sudo command. Yes, that is successful. And once it has been configured, restart the service. That is one time stop it and start it. Or you can directly use a restart as well as. Yeah, now the firewall is up and running, but let's go back it and try to access in the browser. Anyway, this 10 series it is not working. This is only internal, but 192, if you just observe that, yes, now we are able to access, no issues. Even the firewall, if it is up and running also, there is no issue. We are able to access the service. Yeah, the firewall is up and running, but we have defined zone as a public and adding the service, that is HTTPD, as a permanent for accepting that service request externally. So I will share this firewall commands. Let's try to use this one. Control C, if you use it by mistake, yes, session is killing that. Yeah, so this is a command which you can use it to enable the HTTP service, the firewall. Then you can stop the firewall and start the firewall. that is starting and stopping. I just pinged this in the chart window, which you can refer that. Remaining, you can just remember that yum install. So all these commands. So where we are talking this, all these commands, yes, here. They are testing the app server and enabling and disabling the file. Yeah, that is a stop and start that or restart the firewall. Restart. And before that, use this command. Is it clear about that? How many ways we can test the service? Whether that is a Tomcat service or HTTP service or Nginx service, all these things, remember that. This is not just for only for the HTTPD. So if you are going to manage that any service on the systems, so installation approaches, configuration that is specific to the service, we didn't talk at anything, and starting and stopping, and testing of that the service. Yes, there are the test cases we are understanding. Either service level you can check it, process level you can verify that, port level we can verify that, local URL you can verify that, and remote URL you can verify. This is a remote URL. What is the local URL? How to test it? That is by using curl.
Localhost.
Yeah, you can directly use the local host. This is the same system. I mean, on the same system, if you like to verify the URL, you can use the curl with the local host. Or you can use that IP address also, that's no issues. But curl, that is a command line based URL verification. And this is about browser based verification. In the browser, we are hitting. Browser is Windows system we are using. But Windows, I need to have the outside of that. Windows is outside system, outside the network. My virtual machine is in the different network, and Windows system is in a different network. So if it's the different networks, then you need to have it public IP addresses. Private IP address are not going to have. Private IP address only within the network. Anyway, IP addresses concepts we'll talk it in the networks. But already almost we discussed some commands which belong to that networking related also. But anyway, I will conclude that in the network links once again. Okay, this is about the testing. But finally, let's go for this deploying that application. The one more small activity. Yeah, now my service is package is installed, service is ready. And with all these cases, I have verified. And let me quickly stop the service and let me verify in all the cases also. What I do that, I'll stop this service and we'll check it that system level, process level, port level, and URL level. URL local and through remote. All these concepts are the very important. Whenever we are working with that, especially database service or the middleware service or the web services. Yeah, first let me stop the service. Systemctl stop HTTPD. Now what is the status it is going to show that? That is inactive, right? Service is inactive. So it is stopped, it is dead. Okay. Next process level, how do we verify that? Let me check it. The grep HTTPD. No process running. Before it was showing that 5 process, but now we have stopped. There is no process running. But what about this one? This is a grep command. We have used the grep HTTPD, right? That is that process. Okay, process level is also not running. Now let me check it the port level. Netstat-NLTP. So port level also is not running. Only 22 is running. Okay, good. What next? URL. Let me use the curl http://localhost:80. Failed to connect to the localhost port 80. Connection refused. Connection refused is nothing but that is service is down. But before we are observing this one of the issue, that is a connection timed out. Connection timed out is checked about the firewall issues. Service is running, but that request is not able to connect to the service. Somewhere it is blocking. That is a connection timed out. But now here it is showing the error connection refused. That means service itself is not there. Service itself is the down. Okay, this is a curl command output. And finally, if you go to the browser and if you check it that, and if I refresh this, yes, it is trying to connect it and unable to connect it. Yeah, this is service is down. So this is stop notations at service level, process level, port level, local curl command, and the remote. In the browser, it is unable to connect. Is it clear, everyone? Hello, can you hear me? Is it audible to everyone? Are you following all these points? Please confirm that.
Yes.
Yeah, I referred this 1 or 2 times about this video. So these are all, they're all the very, very important concepts. Maybe first time, if you don't have this understanding about the networking and all these commands, there's some little bit confusion. But yes, if you go to that one more time, then you will be getting the beauty of this service management activities. But try to refer that 1 or 2 times concepts and try to practice it as much as you can do that. So without referring these commands where you should able to run it. So open the system and you should able to set this HTTP service and you should able to deploy that application. So if you're able to, if you do practice like that, then you will get the benefit of these service management activities. Okay, fine. Last but not the least, one more concept. Let me conclude it: deployment. So now, whenever we are accessing this application, have started? No, I didn't start it. Let me go back and start the service. Okay, so we're good. So let's go back to the browser and let me refresh this. Yes, the service is up and running. Now it is displaying the default web page, right? That means some static page which they have deployed. But I don't want this page. I would like to deploy about our custom page. So custom HTML file I would like to deploy. So what is that location where that application deployment directory for the HTTP service? Location is where www HTML. This is the deployment directory. But here we don't have any files. Here we don't have any files. But default it is saying it is showing this one page, right? Some HTML page it is showing that. But where is this page? Somewhere it should be located, right? Where it is this page? Now if you verify this list of all the files of this package, so let me use it sudo rpm -q listing this all the files which belong to this package. Okay, we have so many files, but which file we are going to look into this is index.html. So this is a default page that will be loaded. Yes. So what are the page that is showing about it? What are the content we are viewing that in the browser? So this file content is displaying. So they have configured the default, this is the page. But we don't want this page. So we would like to define about our custom index.html file. So how I can define this is, yes, in which directory we need to define it? What is the deployment directory of the HTTP server? Var www.html. Let me create one index.html file. I'm going to create using the VA editor one index.html file in this var www.html folder. What is the content I would like to do this is, if you know that HTML, you can play with that HTML content. But I don't want to do this. That is a developer's activity. I just write it some content. Welcome to RMS Tech. Some message I would like to print it. So it should be, it is not allowing that with normal permissions. We need to even create this file with the super user. Yes, run or create the file with the sudo permission. The welcome to RMS Tech. Let me save this now. Yeah, what is the content we have added? Index.html. So now if you go back to the browser and if you refresh, or you can just type that curl command now. Curl http://localhost. Port anyway, you don't need to enter it because HTTP default port is 80 itself. Yes, now we see that we are getting that the content which were defined, that is welcome to RMS Tech. Or if you go to the browser and if you refresh this page, instead of loading the default index.html file, now we have defined about our custom deployment file. Okay. And what is the default file it is taking that? This is index.html. Default page. So whenever we hit the URL, what is the default page that is loading? Index.html file. Suppose, can I create some other file? Let me create one more file, sudo vi welcome.html. Yes, we can create about your custom content files. I would like to add it. This is welcome to Rise and Shine Technologies. Some content I have added in the welcome.html file. Now these are all the two files that we have deployed on this HTTP server. One is the default file, that is index.html, and another one is welcome.html. Now how do I access this welcome.html? Yeah, default, whenever I hit that URL, that IP address, it is loading to the default. But I need to access that's welcome.html. Then you can enter the path of it. Path. What is the file name? Welcome.html. If you enter the complete path, now we are getting that page. So this is a path-based accessing that. But where it is located? Var www.html. That is the virtual path. So in that directory, what are the files I'm having? Those files we can access, right? Suppose you have copied some MP4 file in the var www.html. Yes, give that file name here in the browser and you can access that video over here. Or if you have some PDF file, copy in that location and in the URL give that the file name. then you can access it. That's we say the path of the file. But the default, what is the file? If I just hit that URL, index.html, that is the default file it is loading. But if you have those other files, the path based you can access it. But what is the directory? Where www.html. In that directory, what are the files we have? All the files you can access through the browser, right? Yes or no? This is a deployment of application. If you have the static content, but this is a static content. Yes, all this application static content files you can copy here and you can access through the browser. So that is about deployment. So this is about managing the packages and services. Are you clear about this point? Yeah, about the deployment activity. So that is deploying that application. So where www HTML is the directory, and here what are the files you are deploying that? All the files that will be posted, or you can access through the URL. So will you practice this today? All these things? Package and service management with Apache HTTP service. So in the lab guide also you can find it, HTTP service management. The lab guide. Let me show that quickly. Yeah, so data and package and service management. And here you can find the lab for that Apache service. So, but before that, you can refer these demos also. And the labs point of view, service management, we have to separate. You have first to refer this lab guide, and then Apache, whatever I discussed, everything that is available in the Apache service. But refer that other lab guides also. That means you will get it some system service systemctl related, some additional commands. Yeah, Apache service, if you go to that, make directory Apache server and vagrant of the system, then m update, m install HTTPD, then sudo systemctl install HTTPD, systemctl enable HTTPD, status HTTPD, and systemctl stop HTTPD, disable, enable, restart. But testing points, it is not there. Yes, you can just go ahead and refer that on the test cases. There is service based how to test it, process based how to test it, port based how to test it, local URL based how to test it, and remote URL based how to test it. Yeah, so that's all from my side for today. So any queries, questions, please let me know.
So I was having an error like for upgrading, update whenever using. So I just found an issue that is related to name server. So name server, it has having taken some default IP. Due to that, I was unable to connect to internet. So I changed it. But every time when I start the new vagrant, so it has to be updated manually. The name server. So is there a way that it can be updated?
Actually, voice is breaking that I couldn't understand properly. So
Hello.
you
Yeah.
were talking.
So yeah, yesterday we had an issue, right, on updates, so it is not able to connect to the internet.
Yeah. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
So that the issue is with the name server. So name server, it has taking an IP. Due to that, it is unable to communicate. So I changed to 9999, and I'm able to communicate and able to update it. Okay.
Okay.
But the issue is when I all the vagrant again open it new session, so that the name server has to be updated again.
Okay. Fine. Then what you need to do is you need to write provision scripts to update that IP address as the permanent. The main system, whenever you are rebooting that, automatically to define it that the custom one. We have the provision scripts, but the provision concept in the background, if we just refer that, that is shell scripts which you should understand that. But let me show this in the background file where you can do it. But there is a temporarily you cannot handle this. Uh, Suppose if you verify in the Vagrant file, so here provision concepts we have config.vm.provision. That means while launching the system itself, if we need that any customizations in the, any file, like that could be name server configuration or users creation or any custom activities if you are expecting about it, these provision concepts we can use it and we can write to the file. So enable this section and do one thing like appending that content to that or that line to the etcresolve.conf file. Yeah, so this command, if you are able to define it here, then whenever you are restarting the system, then automatically that will be updated.
Okay, I'll try it for today.
Yeah, so check with that the provisioning concepts using Vagrant provision. How do I update the resolve.conf file? Yes, search it with this string in the Google. Maybe you will get it some like a commands. So just enable this option and define that the commands whatever they have mentioned here, whatever they have mentioned. So the commands we need to just define it. Even the Apache service. Now we have logged in and we have done. No, I don't want to log in it. So if I enable this, then it will be updated the system and it will install the Apache too. And if I add it other commands like systemctl start and enable and deploying that application, yes, if I define it here, then automatically my system will be up and service also will be ready. I don't need to do that manually once again once the system is ready. But Vagrant level, that is not that much required this provision because temporarily we are using the Vagrant just to practice the Linux commands. But the same provisioning concepts, whenever we are working with the cloud with EC2 instances, there I will talk it about that. This is provisioning explicitly showing the demonstration. Is it clear about this?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Normally in the cloud, you don't see those issues. But maybe, why you are facing this even the names of details, I'm wondering that. Which the virtual box you are using, that's maybe
Same box, whichever you use. Same box I tried.
same box.
Same box.
Okay. Another point, are you switching that networks?
This is my office laptop. Maybe that's the reason.
Yes, that could be the reason.
I got something.
So suppose whenever you are installing the Vagrant and this virtual box first time, if you use it one Wi-Fi network, and after that, if you're going to use it another networks doesn't work it.
Oh, maybe that is also yes.
Got the point?
Yes.
So whatever the network you have used, whenever you are launching the first time that instance, use that always the same Wi-Fi network. Then it could be resolved about your issues.
Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you all. So I'm going to log off for today. We'll meet tomorrow and we'll continue this. But try to practice all these things, and they're all very, very important, especially testing scenarios, know it. Port-based verification, service-based verification, process-based verification, local, how I can test it with the curl command, the URLs, and remotely in the browser. Browser, we know that, that's fine, but URL is important. IP address with the port number and the protocol. This is the standard structure for any server if you would like to test it. Protocol with IP address and port number. Yeah, good. So that's all from my side. I'm going to log off for today.